So this method is called Rose, Thorn, Bud. As you'll see, it's a very intuitive method, very, very easy to use, but can get you to some surprisingly interesting depths. Why would you use Rose, Thorn, Bud? Well, the reality of many problems is that they're just not simple. They're not black and white, but there are some things that are doing fine with services or products that you're looking at. Some things are not doing so well, and some things that are out there, new technology or whatever, might potentially work. So what Rose, Thorn, Bud does is it separates out these things and then puts them back together again. It's a comprehensive tool for assessing a product or services, and then you can look at it and see, well, what really needs to be changed. One of the benefits of doing it is that you can look at what's already working, you rigorously analyze that, and then start to make use of those things. And so, you know, if you work just on the bad things, that can have some pretty unintended consequences. So this is a worthwhile exercise to do, just at the very least, so you don't make that mistake. How do you use it? Well, it's again very simple. You get a bunch of stickies, pink stickies, which tell you about things that are currently working. And remember, we're user-centered in this as in everything we do. So these are things that are currently working for users, not necessarily for you, but they are working. Use the blue stickies then for thorns. These are some problems that users have with things as they currently exist. And then use the green stickies for buds, things that could actually improve in the future, or they could be a basis for innovation in the future. Then what you do is you're going to cluster, as you see in the diagram on the right here, you cluster within colors to identify problem areas. So now you'd start to look within the pink stickies, for example, at things that are similar to each other. Start to move the post-its around or the stickies around so that they're together, and you can now find, you know, a cluster of things that's working that are all doing quite well. Similarly, with blue, you group things together, find out the things that are not working that might be related to each other, and the same with buds. And each time you do that, you would label the clusters to try and give a sense of, okay, what's the overall meaning of the overall thing that we're trying to get at here. Then you can do in another stage, and I always find this particularly useful. You can take your stickies of different colors and now look at it across colors. So be prepared to mix pink, blue, and green according to whatever theme you come up with. And then you'll find that if you're looking at some specific areas that might be good for users, they sometimes good things, sometimes bad things, sometimes potential things. And if you can start to find those, you'll find that there's you get quite a lot of insight into a problem by doing it. So from there, you can then work with your team to develop a problem statement based on your analysis. So let's go to the Miro board and take a look at what this might look like. So we'll just transfer over here. So this is what we have then as your template for Rose, Thorn, Bud, and you can see it's very similar to what we saw on the slides. You've got pink stickies for roses, blue stickies for thorns, and green stickies for buds. And you can expand these. I would take a copy of this template, put it elsewhere on the board, and put as many stickies as you want. The more the merrier, actually, for a lot of these exercises. So I'm going to take you over and show you an example that I've worked on for an economy car. And so let's say you have an economy car, a small car. I don't know. I drive a little Fiat 500, for example. And what might be some roses, thorns, and buds around a small car of that nature. Well, some of the good things about these cars is they save petrol. They're easy to park. They can be fun to drive. They're great in traffic. They're generally pretty practical, and also down here they're inexpensive. Yeah? So those are some of the good things about a small car, a small city car, if you like. Now, some of the things that are not so good. Well, no air conditioning in the one that I have, and many of them don't have features like air conditioning. That's pretty uncomfortable in a hot climate. They can be small. They can be uncomfortable to sit in because they're small. They're not particularly sexy. So if you want a sexy car, that's not what they're for. And there's not a lot of room to carry things. I might be able to get my groceries in, but not much else. So those are thorns. Here are some buds. Well, there's some things coming along, like the whole trend towards working at home, which has been accelerated by COVID. Maybe I won't need to drive that much in the future, or maybe I only need to drive short distances. Battery technology may enhance these cars again, because they could go a long time on a charge because they're not going to use a lot of energy. There are lighter materials that might make them more economical still. There may be better seats coming. So there's a bunch of things, potential things that could happen. So as I said, you can start to cluster these within areas. And so I could say, well, okay, if I look at this practical, it saves petrol. It's kind of easy to park. Yeah, it's inexpensive. All these things might go together, right? And in fact, practicality might be the label I'd use for that, right? So I can do that within here. Over here, I could say, okay, well, they're practical, but they're uncomfortable. No air conditioning, uncomfortable seating. So those would be two that I might have there. And I'm not sure if there's anything over here, but let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, the working from home might be something that would mitigate some of these things over here, but I don't see any really important links. Oh, battery technology and lighter materials that might make them more economical, for example. Yeah, so those are ways I can cluster within each color. And then this is the cool part, I think, when you now start to cluster across colors, I might say, okay, in the area of economy or money saving, well, I've got some good things. It saves petrol, it's practical. There's potential for lighter materials in the future. Right now, there's no room to carry things. So those are a number of aspects of the sort of economy piece of this. And sorry, the reason I put no room to carry things there is because if I ever want to carry anything, I might have to rent a pickup truck. So that's actually going to cost me money. Driving experience would be another area. Again, some problems here, no air conditioning, it's uncomfortable to sit in. On the other hand, they're fun to drive. And, potentially with better seats, that might take care of some of the discomforts. Okay, so by clustering across, then you get this kind of really nice multifaceted view of a problem, and it gives you a sense of what you might be able to design. You can take this forward now and then say, okay, what's a good problem statement that we can work on? What might be a design challenge, or how might we statement that we could play with? And you can start to link up with other tools like abstraction laddering, for example, to sort of refine those problem statements.